Hey everybody, welcome to Gary Talks. There's a brand new Superman film in theaters, and this is going to kick off James Gunn's DC universe. I'm super excited to see it, so I figured to lead up to it, I would rewatch all the previous Superman films, and today, I'm going to rank them. But before we get to that, here's a behind-the-scenes look at James Gunn's Superman.
Being a child, I loved the purity of Superman. It was a time when I was starting to understand what movies were.
James didn't know that Superman was in his future. He wasn't sure that that was the one he should be doing. And then he called me one day and he said, I have a way in. I know what I want to talk about.
I had been trying to crack it for years. This character's noble and he's beautiful.
We just finished day one on Superman.
It's been a hell of a week at the office.
His scripts are so unique, his stories, they're heartfelt.
You know, we love the opportunity to play with the incredible DC library of characters and stories, and we really want to do justice for them.
Welcome to the Daily Planet. It's been so much fun to have the gang together finally.
I wear my trunks on the outside of my pants. Like, it's liberating.
James in his stories, he does it with heart.
Superman is a character who's good.
Who is filled with hope. He saves people because it's the right thing to do. We could use a little bit more of that.
Superman was my original superhero, and it started in comics, and I think it's going to be a game changer.
This is the beginning of the future. They are launching a new era right now.
It's the beginning of a whole new adventure and a whole new universe.
We're just getting started, and we're already deep in the DC universe. In James Gunn we trust, and I think we can do it.
Okay, let's get into the rankings. Coming in at number 10, the movie from the first 5 seconds I knew was gonna suck, Justice League. When the movie starts off like this, you know it's gonna be a dud. Look at that CGI mustache removal, just hideous. Ranked dead last, Justice League is truly a Frankenstein of studio meddling and reshoots. Superman's resurrection just comes off as lame, and his character arc is overshadowed by forced quips and rushed team building. It might work for Marvel to have a joke every 2 minutes, and the jury is still out on that, but here, the tonal inconsistency veering from slapstick to faux epic makes it feel cynical and hollow. It's the worst of Superman's cinematic outings, notable only for how thoroughly it undercuts what could have been. Next up at number 9 is a film that, when it was released, no one really liked it, but since then, people have started to appreciate it. I'm not one of those people, as I can't really stand it. Superman Returns. Bryan Singer's Superman Returns tries to pay homage to the Richard Donner films, but lacks narrative urgency and emotional connection. Brandon Routh looks the part, but is saddled with a Superman who's passive and brooding. And again, Lex Luthor's real estate scheme feels like a tired retread rather than a fresh conflict. Ultimately, it's a nostalgic but hollow exercise that fails to capture Superman's spirit. And the worst thing of all, it's boring. Next up at number 8, a movie that's not so much a horrible film as it's just wasted potential. They took everything that could have been awesome and screwed it up. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. This controversial entry struggles under the weight of launching a cinematic universe and cramming in multiple storylines. And worst of all, what is going on with Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor? He is so insane from the get-go, even if he is rich, I can't see people buying into what he's selling. Superman himself feels more like a plot device than a character. His motivations are murky, and his death is premature and unearned. Despite stunning visuals and Cavill's solid performance, The film's dour tone and convoluted plotting squander the potential of a historic clash, which explains its low ranking. Next up at number 7 is the last of the bad Superman movies. We start getting into better ones to great ones, but this one, everyone agrees is bad. It's not quite as bad as a lot of people think, but it's still pretty horrible. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Campy and cheap looking, Superman 4 nevertheless shows Superman grappling with nuclear disarmament, a concept truer to his comic book idealism than many of the modern interpretations. Reeves' commitment to the role, even in a film with budget cuts and a nonsensical villain like the Nuclear Man, is admirable. It's earnest, but hopelessly misguided, making it easy to see why it languishes near the bottom despite a few noble intentions. And let's not forget that somehow, humans can survive in space with no oxygen. Now we're going to get into the movies that I think are just okay, and this one's going to shock a lot of you, but number 6 is Superman the movie. Though many would rank it higher for nostalgia, placing Superman the movie here recognizes its groundbreaking impact, establishing the superhero genre's cinematic potential, but also its dated pacing and hokey dialogue. Christopher Reeve's performance and John Williams' legendary score are undeniable strengths, but I hate Gene Hackman's portrayal of Lex Luthor in these films, although he is slightly better in Superman 2. The fact that we're like an hour into the movie before we get to see Superman gets on my nerves, but almost nothing is worse than the turn the world back ending to reverse time. If Superman can do this, why just do it for Lois and not go all the way back to stop all of Luthor's plan? It makes no sense and detracts from an otherwise classic introduction to the last son of Krypton. I said that was almost the worst. You know what is the worst thing ever? This scene.
Can you read my mind? Do you know what it is that you do to me? I don't know who you are. Just a friend from another star.
Talk about cringe-inducing. Coming in at number 5 is another one that's a fun watch, but not necessarily a good film. Superman 3. Richard Pryor's comedic antics clash wildly with the darker elements of a corrupted Superman, but Superman 3 deserves its middle-of-the-pack spot for daring to explore Superman's internal struggle. The junkyard fight where Clark battles an evil version of himself remains one of the most compelling sequences in the entire series. Despite its tonal confusion, Reeves' dual performance shows his range, making the film very fascinating, if undeniably uneven. Now, with the top 4 Superman films, we move into ones that are really, really good. Coming in at number 4, Zack Snyder's Justice League. This 4-hour epic redeems the bottom-of-the-barrel Justice League by restoring Snyder's operatic vision, Superman's black suit resurrection, his powerful return to fight Steppenwolf, and the exploration of his symbolic role among heroes give the character weight missing in the theatrical cut. Plus, we get Darkseid as a full villain. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers here, but I really think that this version of Justice League is even better than the first 2 Avengers movies. It's the first time on screen the League feels truly mythic, and Superman's presence elevates the ensemble, but if I dislike the slow pacing of Superman the movie, then I have to note that the sprawling runtime here holds this movie back from top-tier status. Next up at number 3 is the movie that was my favorite Superman movie for the longest time, Superman 2. I love the original version of Superman 2 for all of its iconic moments. Zod demanding kneeling, the Paris rescue, and Superman's return after sacrificing his powers.
Would you care to step outside?
It blends romance and humor with memorable action, cementing Reeves' Superman as a pop culture icon. However, the slapstick additions and inconsistent tone from Lester's rewrites keep it from being higher on my list. Terrence Stamp is one of the all-time great movie villains as Zod, but good lord. Superman's powers are inconsistent in this movie, including the worst superpower of all, throwing a plastic version of his Superman symbol. What the fuck, man? Coming in at number 2, The Man of Steel. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel earns the second spot for its bold, modern reimagining of Superman's origin. The film explores Kal-El's alienation and humanity's reaction to a godlike figure in a thought-provoking way, setting it apart from previous incarnations. Henry Cavill's grounded portrayal, Hans Zimmer's thunderous score, and Zack Snyder's kinetic action deliver a Superman who feels mythic and relevant. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things I hate about this movie, mostly the characterization of Jonathan Kent. The tornado scene was pure BS. And that collateral damage heavy finale is a lot to take, but at the same time, probably a little more realistic than Superman 2 if the super beings fought through a city. Now it's time for number 1. I know a lot of you are thinking, what could it possibly be? You're running down the different Superman movies in your head, and you're like, I think he's named them all. But there's one that I haven't, and that's Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. The top spot goes to the Donner cut because it restores Richard Donner's original, more serious vision, replacing campy humor with emotional depth and a stronger narrative. Christopher Reeve's performance shines as Superman grapples with sacrificing his powers for love, and Terrence Stamp's General Zod becomes the definitive Superman villain with his menacing charisma. The Donner cut's improved pacing and character arcs make it feel timeless without the tonal whiplash of Lester's version. It gives audiences a Superman film that's both grand in scale and emotionally touching, capturing the tragic nobility of the character in a way few superhero movies ever have. If only we could have seen Donner's true vision as this is built using available footage, and I do have to say, it makes zero sense that Superman turns the world back. Remember how much I hate that whole thing. So no one remembers anything that happened except the people at that Alaska Roadhouse and that asshole bully. Nevertheless, the Donner cut is still my favorite Superman movie of all time. Well, that's my current rankings of the Superman films. Hopefully the brand new James Gunn version comes in at number 1 and blows us all away. Next week, I'm going to take a look at all the Predator films and rank them. And I'm going to talk to the co-directors of the new Predator movie, Killer of Killers, Dan Trachtenberg and Joshua Wasung. See you next week.
From capes to tapes, Gary's on the case. He's breaking down each scene, every place. On Gary Talks, he's quick with his peculiar wit. From plot twists to the comic strips, Gary's flipping sick.